Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday. It's primary day in Michigan, so if you're a Michigander like me, I hope you voted. Look, I got a sticker. Look, I did it. I did a civic duty. So hi everyone, how's it going? Hope you're having a good one. We have CC today with one of his more unhinged rants, so that's gonna be interesting. Let's see what we're missing in chat. Humiliated Grapes, thanks for 33 months, says Freemasons! What a deal. Normally I have to pay so much for my masonry. Altered Undying says, Hannah, did you get a chance to look at the video I linked? I responded in chat, but yes, I enjoyed that proof of concept. Thanks for sharing it with me. I'm excited to see what the final product looks like, but I think that's a good idea. I like the style that you're going for. And that catches us up. Cool beans. So, like I've said previously, if you want to help support the stream, on YouTube, memberships and super chats and super thanks help. On Twitch, bits, subscriptions, tips, all of that is wonderful. We are over halfway to our costume month goal. We only have about a week and a half left of the second costume month. So if you'd like costume month to continue, do tips. Use the tip link and that'll get that going. We are playing bingo today, so if you'd like, make sure you get your bingo card. And I think that's it. We can get right into it. Fumble Homestead with 200 bits says, yay, sticker. Stickers are really the reason to vote. Not like electoral politics has ever affected anything. Deep sarcasm. Please go vote. Please go vote. Please go vote. I'm begging you to vote. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub and kicking off a hype train. Very cool. Thank you very much. Fennikagami with 40 bits says, hello all. How does it feel to be in the less dark timeline? I told you Harris would avoid an APAC shill like Shapiro. Anyway, in other news, Trump is so desperate he interviewed with Aiden Ross. You know, the loser whose primary audience is literal children? Yeah, and he sniffs the chairs of his guests because he likes butt smell or something. He sniffed Andrew Tate's seat. Like, on camera. Anyway, the right thinks we're coping because this makes him look hip with the youth. But as we all know, Ross is a lol cow. He is. He is. Also, any of his viewers were gonna vote for Trump anyway if they were gonna vote, so like, what? Emisaur, thanks for 35 months, much appreciated. Jay's a proxy, you want me to look up conspiracy in Black's Law Dictionary? Okay, can do. 10% to level 2 on the hype train. Comma blah? Is that an insult? I don't even understand that one. Humiliated Grapes, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Very generous. We're getting a lot of gift subs this month, and I appreciate it so much. I couldn't do this show without you. It's like PBS, except I don't have tote bags to give you. So thank you. Much appreciated. J. Ronimus, thanks for a 5-stream streak, says watching Republicans freak the fuck out over Waltz has added years to my life. Hasn't it been nice? What's going on with the Democrats? It's like they want to win. Bittergrin, thanks for 44 months, says, I'm so big with this sub, baby, I can't wait to get it out next month. I bet. Like taking a large poo. Let's see, conspiracy. We're getting there. Wait, does this not have conspiracy in here? Wow, this doesn't have conspiracy in here. That seems suspicious. It must be a conspiracy, though I wouldn't know since I don't have the legal definition. Okay, I'll do something else on this page then. Console, a bond that never matures but is redeemable on call. Thrilling stuff. Altered Undying, thanks for 100 bits. Perreal24 says, I'm so excited I might be moving to a management position at my grocery store after only 2 months. Oh, heck yeah. I hope you're getting paid better. Don't sell yourself short. Make sure you get that fucking bag. Hey Xander, how's it going? We are 4% to level 5 on the hype train. Woo! I'm gonna take those glasses off for a little bit. I'll still put them somewhere on my outfit. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Much appreciated. Wow, this is a crazy hype train today. You must have missed me. Thank you, everyone. Jimmy says, cautiously optimistic about Waltz's VP. Love watching Trump trip over his own insecurities now that Kamala's the candidate. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Wonderful, wonderful stuff. 57% to level 6 on the hype train. Curreal says $1.10 with the promotion. Nice. All right. Well, we're still doing the hype train, and that can continue. We'll start Chris. Oh, Jamie Lynn with 39 months says, long time following your stream. Many babies. Indeed, indeed. Moss Sloth says, to be fair, Minnesota gets a lot of progressive shit done, considering how slight the Democratic lead is. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They've gotten a lot of stuff done in his tenure as the governor. They did, of course, the free school breakfast program thing, which is fucking wonderful and should be a nationwide program. On top of a whole bunch of other stuff, I believe they became a trans sanctuary state. Lots of good stuff. I think they got paid leave for employees, stuff like that. Really, really good stuff. So Waltz was a good choice. Much better than Shapiro. Glad Kamala made the right decision. So that's good. 72% to level 6. All right, let's go ahead and get into Chris's new video. This is Chris coming apart. I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty sad. He's doing worse than normal. I don't know why. We know he's a Trump fan, so I don't know if the Kamala stuff and Joe Biden stepping aside has angered him and it's causing his conspiratorial mindset to be exacerbated. That's the word I mean. So I guess let's watch it and find out.
Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris. From New York, Westchester County. It's 8-2.
Misunderstandings of gravity, among other things.
85 degrees here and 82%.
They're really good leaves, Nemesaur.
91% humidity, so it feels like it's close to 100. It's always nice in New York. You know, the stink from the street. It's great. It's wonderful. Anyway.
You don't even live in New York City, right? You work in New York City? I don't know what his situation is. Why is he talking about the stink from the city?
Today's a Friday, and I'd like to give you a little bit of a Think About Friday video, just in case if I'm unable to put a video out during the weekend. There's some things I've been thinking about and talking about with other colleagues that are part of the Flat Earth. And
colleagues is an interesting way to describe random people you met through a Flat Earth app. But all right. I'll give it to him.
We are aware of this whole nonsense that's been going on about this 24-hour sun. And that...
Yep, this is about the final experiment thing. For those that don't know, there are some skeptics or something that like to debunk flat earthers, and they're getting together and funding a trip or something for flat earthers to go to the South Pole so that they can see the 24-hour sun to demonstrate that the Earth is round and rotates around the sun. You know, a lot of flat earthers are upset about it because it would prove them wrong, and on some level I think some of them know that, so they're agitated by the very thought. Minute left on the hype train.
That's great. You know, it's something that the ball earthers can raise money and enjoy, you know, and it doesn't really prove anything to a flat earther, because if there was a sun that is 24 hours in the sky, I'm not saying there's no light. There is a light there, but that's an alternate source of light. Okay, I am talking about a ball, a yellow ball, the sun, going around in a circle. Okay, well, if you go on
to be clear, the sun is not yellow. It appears so through the atmosphere because of the way its light scatters. But the sun is not literally yellow. Like, if you go out into space, the sun's really hot. It's just white.
live feed, it's all edited. If it really did do that, then it would be all over. You're too late, guys, okay? You're too late.
Thank you for the hype train, everyone. Much, much appreciated.
All right. Maybe it might have worked back in 2019 and maybe 2018 or something like that. But no. To 2024, you're too late. It's bullshit. You know, most of us, and I'm a big believer in it, and I'm actually trying to prove it. It's very difficult. Is the digital world. We all have our own sun. We all have our own stars. We have our own moon.
I'm gonna say that's probably fake sun, moon on the bingo card. It's a little hard to say, but I'm gonna say that counts.
You know? When you see the moon reflecting off of the lake and it's popping.
Alternative take on that. You get a moon, and you get a moon. Everybody gets a moon. I feel like I've used that joke before, so.
Up at you. And you have somebody standing over there on the opposite side of the lake. They see the moon in a different position.
He basically thinks that the moon, sun, and stars are reflections on a dome and therefore are effectively a mirage or an illusion that you are seeing from your perspective. That's what he's trying to get across poorly.
Then you're looking at it in your position. You have your own sun, okay? There could be millions of them up there for all we know. I don't know. A digital world is something that is incredible, but it makes sense. Because
yeah, he's into simulation theory now. He keeps jumping because he's also into like Tartaria stuff, but how does that... I guess you could have Tartaria in a simulation thing, but then what's even the point? It's all fake anyway? I don't know. He mixes conspiracy theorists like alcoholics mix drinks. It's just not great.
Everything is flat, okay? All right? Everything is flat. The world we live on is flat, and we have proven it time and time again. That's a
no, he didn't say the Matrix.
testable experiment that you can use anytime you want. Go to the beach. Of course, it's not foggy, all right? And
I went to the beach the last weekend. I got super dehydrated.
Why can't you see to China?
It was really bad.
Why can't you see
I'm fine now.
to Spain? Okay, well, did you know the air contains 99% water?
The air does not contain 99% water. That would just be water. We would just be underwater. The air is not 99% water.
Okay, so
Hydrate. I could do that.
you can't cut through
The beach in Michigan? Yes. I don't know if you know much about Michigan. We are a peninsula surrounded by Great Lakes.
the water. The sun can't even cut through the water, all right? Because it disappears. It's going away from you, and it just pops out of view. That's what it does. Videos on that? No videos that these ball earthers, they have nothing. They have nothing except fake videos of curvature of a bridge that they edited. They're desperate. They're desperate. Okay, they're trying to hold on to this ball that doesn't exist, or it's a psyop. And these people have been put into this position. Okay, who knows what it is? I don't really give a fuck. I don't want to even waste my time talking about it, but I had to bring it up. I want you to think about a circle. Okay, all right. Well, let's go back to this. Let's go back to God. All right.
Oh, good.
I want you to think about that. If you were a
Let's talk about the heady subject of theology. Great. CC's definitely equipped for that.
God,
Me too. Trey says, I think he's expecting a fundamental disconnect, or experience, is that supposed to be experiencing? A fundamental disconnect from reality. He's been heading this way for a while, but he now has what I think is two worlds that he expects. The first is the real world, where all he interacts with is an NPC who looks at him like he's crazy and gaslights him into trying to make him think the earth is round. The other is this community he interacts with online. They tell him he's smart and wise and experienced. Yeah, I'm going to tend to agree with that. He's feeling disconnected from the real world around him and more connected with the online communities. And it's causing a weird schism in his worldview that is not going to end well for him.
and you created all of this. All right, when this has been created.
Yeah, people who are like, oh, no, I've been to oceans and lakes. If you're at one of the Great Lakes, it just looks like you're at an ocean. Like, if you've never been to the Great Lakes and you're like, oh, it's just a lake. It's basically a freshwater ocean. At least that's what it looks like from the beach. It's fucking crazy. If you've never been, I'd recommend it. It's really great. Not even really a beach person, but if you've never been to a Great Lake, yeah, it's very cool.
By a god. That I can contest to, okay? But anyway, if you were a god, wouldn't you want the species down here to know that you exist?
I feel like, and again, I hate to take this seriously, but let's actually like think about this thought experiment. He's saying we don't know the parameters of this. Who is the god? What is their motivation? It depends. You can't just blanket say a god would do this. If you're conceptualizing a being, you're calling a god, so at minimum they're immortal. What else is going on with them? I'm assuming he's imagining the Christian God, because he has a pretty myopic worldview. But even then, the personality of God as described in the Bible changes wildly between the sections, and different interpretations of those sections. So I don't even know what he means.
By putting little Easter eggs around? You know, like, for example, the sun, the moon, the circle.
The sun is an Easter egg for reality. Wow.
Okay, a circle, a perfect circle, which the sun is and the moon is.
They are not. They're spheres. They're roughly spheres, and even then, not perfect. The moon has craters and pitting and, like, elevation. The moon has little hills and stuff. So no, it's not perfect, but they are spheres. The sun is a mass of incandescent gas in a giant nuclear furnace where hydrogen turns to helium and something millions of degrees. Anyway, it's a big ball of nuclear. So it's always kind of like doing stuff. But yeah, it's a sphere. Miscellaneous with 37 months says, just get flat earthers all over the flat earth to look up at the moon at the same time. Which one can see the backside of the moon, CC? None of them can see the backside of the moon because of tidal locking. Stonecore Bells says, why would you put little vague Easter eggs around and not just appear and go, hey everyone, I'm a god, here's how things are. I mean, that's what I would do if I was a god. Yeah.
Well, you know, you can see the... let's just stick with the sun. If you look at the sun for a brief second...
Particle Man, Particle Man, Particle Man.
You can see.
That's the only part of Particle Man I know.
That perfect line right there. Just perfect. Okay, when the sun goes behind the cloud, you know, and
yeah,
it's
don't look
trying
at the
to poke
sun
through right before a rainstorm.
Don't look at the sun, by the way. He did say look at the sun. Don't do that. Don't look directly at the sun. That's never advisable. Sorry, Bittergrin. Bittergrin said Zeus ain't doing this unless he somehow gets himself laid. True.
You know, and you get that. I love that when you can actually look at the sun and it's obscured by the clouds just a bit, just enough, but you can make out the diagram of it. It's perfect. Okay, and that's what God has done. God has put these in the sky for you to understand and to study. Now the stars, I don't know what the hell they are, but they're certainly not in space. Okay, they're lights in the sky.
The stars are in space, and they appear to be lights in the sky from our perspective on Earth.
We've proven that. We've focused in on these things.
They had not, in fact, proven that.
Okay, and they're emitting frequencies. They're
frequencies of what?
Doing something.
You can't just have frequencies. A frequency is a measure of something. What are you measuring, Chris?
You know, all the songs depict something with space, with just flat Earth. I mean, it's amazing. These Hollywood stars, these singers, they turn into freakzoids after 20, 25 years of their career. They just go nuts. Look at fucking Madonna. Do you even recognize that creature anymore? I don't.
Chris, Are you just creeped out by people getting older? Are you uncomfortable at your own mortality or something? Because this feels weird.
That wasn't the Madonna I grew up with, all right? The Madonna.
Chris, the Madonna you grew up with was 40 years younger. She got older, just like you have. You've aged exactly as much as Madonna has in the same amount of time. You have both gotten older.
Madonna I grew up with had blonde hair, and she was cute. Now,
again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just fascinated by this thought. Is he on some level actually struggling with the concept of how much time has passed? And, like, he just can't make sense of it? And so it's coming out conspiratorially? Because it seems like he's not even broaching the reality that she's 40 years older, which is fine. Like, yeah, that happens to everyone. That's linear time for you.
now, I don't know what the fuck that is. All of them, they just go nuts because they've sold their soul. Okay? And if we lived on a real little spinning
I'd say selling your soul counts for Satanism on the bingo card, or satanic.
ball here that everybody says we do, and everything's perfect and we live in a perfect community, these things wouldn't happen to these Hollywood actors and actresses. Okay? Because they're sold out. They're selling their soul for the money that's out there. Same with the politicians. Okay? All of them have. They all have sold their souls. They collect money. They just busted this Menendez, I think his last name is. We're going to call him Gold Bars and Cash. That's what they found in his house. Gold bars. I mean, how much is a gold bar worth? Let me guess.
Depends on the size of the bar.
$15,000, $20,000 or something like that. You know, and where do you put them? What do you go down to the pawnbroker and cash them in? I don't know.
That would be a way to lose a lot of liquidity on your gold. But you could if you were desperate. Overthought says, what do you mean, Hannah? It's still 2005. I have my iPod. No one get on the phone for an hour. And oh god, the computer has a virus again. In 2005, I was 11 years old.
Who knows? I don't know what these people do. You know, but they're all sold out. All right, it's money. Money has been our slave forever. Politics have been there forever. Hollywood came out very early, at an early stage. These actors and actresses
An early stage of what? Hollywood came about at like the turn of the 20th century because Edison held trademarks and copyrights, or rather patents, on a lot of the film camera technology and was a litigious asshole. So a ton of people moved out west to Hollywood and started up film businesses there because this was a time when the country was, you know, not as easily traversable. So basically, they wouldn't have to worry about Edison's lawsuits because what are you going to do? We're on the other side of the country, dickbag. You going to come over here and sue us? Which is a pretty funny story. But no, it wasn't nefarious. It was a business decision. Surprise. Benikagami says, his disconnect from reality is reflected in the conspiracies he's picking too. That everyone has their own sun and moon thing is so isolating. What does one do to bridge borders between others? Say, we all share the same sun, moon, stars, and sky. We share the same earth and bleed the same red blood. He's actively rejecting that. It's sad to see someone destroying their own connection with others like this. It is. He's just letting paranoia eat himself up from the inside. Very sad.
then didn't get paid dick. But then they figured out that us, the people, okay, are so easy to maneuver around and give ideas to and have them run with it and talk about it. Okay, and that's the media that has come about. Okay, they are evil. Everybody who works for the fucking media is evil. It's scary. But they influence a lot of people.
Chris has never been influenced by any media ever, especially not YouTube videos from like 2016.
You don't know how bad they do. They'll make you turn against somebody you thought you liked.
Chris unaware that he has had this done to him, to like everyone around him. He considers everyone else an NPC. He doesn't respect his wife, at least that's the vibe I get. Like, He has isolated himself from everyone around him, actively dislikes virtually everyone else on the world, and yet he's concerned about media making other people turn against each other. Do you see the irony? You see it? I'm wearing shades inside and I can see it.
So the circle, okay? The creator created that for you to understand that he or she, or whoever it may be, exists. That there is an intelligence out there, okay? The dome, we haven't been able to prove it, but we're definitely contained with something. I don't know what it looks like, if it's like that, if it's straight.
It's interesting that he straight up says we haven't been able to prove it. He hasn't been able to prove any of the things he's posited, but on this point he admits that they haven't been able to prove it, yet he immediately continues to express it as though it is a proven thing. Little telling, I guess.
Who knows? We can't get up there. It doesn't matter. And we'll never be able to get up there. We're not allowed up there. They have control of the sky. They have control of the land. They tell you where you can go and not go. If they find some kind of mysterious palace on top of a mountain that is pristine and beautiful, how the fuck could they possibly engineer something like that 2,000, 1,000 years ago? Because they didn't. There's another higher intelligence that did. That's probably what the lights are up in the fucking sky. When you put the, night vision goggles on. Did you try that yet, guys? I bet you haven't. I bet you trolls haven't done one fucking thing.
He's putting on night vision goggles at looking at the stars? Why? What does it look like? Hold on. That's probably a YouTube video somewhere. Stars through night vision goggles. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be seeing. That yep, you can see them. Oh, that's cool. They're stars. Cool. I guess I don't understand what he thinks that proves.
Done nothing.
Does he not understand light pollution? Does he think the stars are hidden because he can't see them without the night vision goggles?
Nothing except chatter. Chatter, chatter.
Amber says, fun fact, that's why there are so many Jewish people in film. It isn't because there's some sinister Jewish cabal controlling our culture. It's because all the established politicians and business moguls in the more established parts of America were anti-Semitic bigots. So Jews who had a bit of money to spare fled the East. Since media was also fleeing, it made for a natural, if sometimes uneasy, alliance. Yeah, it's very interesting. Similar thing happened with, like, usury and banking in the Middle Ages. Christian kings and kingdoms weren't supposed to do usury or the lending of money with interest because that's a sin in the Bible. So they kept token Jewish people around to do banking, and then you have anti-Semitic conspiracy theories to this day where idiots are like, why are there so many Jewish people in banking? Because it was one of the only things they were allowed to do! Holy fuck! Ugh.
About bullshit. Nonsense. We've been infiltrated by all sides, this community, us, flat earthers, okay? There's some of us that are amongst us that pretend they are flat earthers.
Sus.
I'm not going to mention any names, but they're there, okay? You have to be able to distinguish it for yourself and find out who's real and who's not real, all right? We've been doing this too many years, guys. They could have put an end to this a long time ago. They could have flipped the Hubble telescope around and zoomed in on a fucking town, but it doesn't exist.
Again, that's not how it works. The Hubble is a radio telescope. Not how it works.
Okay? None of it exists. Space doesn't exist. We have no picture of Earth at all whatsoever.
We do. We have plenty of pictures of Earth. Not only composites, but we have full ones too.
Zero.
Oh, is Hubble optical? My bad. Made for staring much deeper into space. It's not meant to turn around and take pictures of Earth.
Goose egg. Nothing. Nothing at all do they have. Not a shred of evidence of this mysterious ridiculous Walt Disney World of a planet they think they live on in the solar system, in a universe. It's forever expanding, or it could be contracting. We're not really quite sure about that, huh, guys? What about that scientist? Is it contracting too? And it's just going to start all over again? Bum, 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 bum. It was in one of the movies. K-Pax, I think the name of the movie was. Yeah, so make sure you...
He's referencing K-Pax? Lennon Cat says even if they did the things he wanted, he'd just say it's fake like he always does. Yeah.
You do it right. I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But this is Hollywood once again, planting seeds, saying, hey, look, the globe, we all live on it. We all, this is how it is. It's bullshit. It's such bullshit. And it sucks. But it frees yourself once you are a flat earther. That's one thing it does do. All right. And once you understand what you live on here, and you understand who these people are that are around, I'm not sure. I'm not saying every one of them are NPCs. Who knows?
Oh boy, there it is. Yep, he literally said it. He thinks that the people around him, he thinks perhaps all of the people around him are not real people. That's dangerous. That's dangerous to not have any human consideration for everyone around you. That's not good. Tyler with a $2 super chat says he literally just doesn't understand technology. It's one of the things he doesn't understand. Artemis with 42 months says, hey Hannah, I was talking to my flat earth coworker trying to explain to him why meteors never look like they're going away from the planet. He seemed to be following me until I said the word perspective, and it was like a trigger phrase. He just started laughing and spouting absolute nonsense. Yeah, thought-stopping mechanism.
NPCs can have siblings, they can have kids, they can have families. Why not? If we live in a digital world, they would have to.
Yeah, bitter grin, unfortunately. Like, he has a wife and he has kids, so I'm hoping he has enough people around him that if it gets to the point where he is a danger to himself or others, which I am not qualified to make that assessment, but he has people around him who care about him, one would expect, given that he is married and has kids. So, I'm hoping he has people monitoring him, so if this continues to get worse, he can have some intervention.
I think that this is all a learning experience for us. The people who are awake, that know what's going on, we're here for a reason. We're here because we asked to be here. We have no recollection or memory of anything from the past at all. Maybe we have deja vu once in a while. That could be other lives. I don't know,
Why would you get deja vu from other lives in this life?
A computer can never be erased. There's always going to be something left on a computer. You can't, even if you blow out the computer with the original disks in there, it's always going to be some kind of trace of something on that computer. So, are we computers?
You can overwrite data on a computer to something else, though.
I don't know.
And you can, flash a computer.
Do we live in a digital world? I think so. It screams it all over the place. But
Profane Priestess, speaking on the link that she sent, says, long story short, no Jewish bankers were ever more powerful than the Christian ones, most notably the House of Medici and Fugger, as well as the Knights Templar, who made a fortune protecting the wealth of European nobles who were on pilgrimage. Well, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. I'll look more into it so I don't mistakenly say shit like that again.
70 years to us, 80 years, I don't know, what's the average lifespan, 85 years? That could be 2 weeks in where we came from. This could just be a 2-week vacation, a lifetime packed into 2 weeks.
Like Total Recall.
Easy to do, and not any computer game.
Total Recall is my favorite Schwarzenegger movie, and one of my favorite Verhoeven movies. Not as good as RoboCop, but it's pretty close.
Very easy to do.
Benekagami says it frees you from human connections and empathy, Chris. That's the only thing being a flat earther frees you from. Sadly, families haven't stopped the man who Robloxed his pharmacist brother for being a lizard person who gave people COVID vaccines. Yeah, that unfortunately happens sometimes. People who have lost it make bad decisions based on faulty beliefs. Not good. I like Kindergarten Cop, but like, I'll put it this way. Kindergarten Cop is my favorite Arnold comedy. Total Recall is probably my second. No, Total Recall is my favorite Arnold action movie. Yeah.
And it just involves programming. And I still, to this day, have people worried that their vacuum cleaners are going to come and try to kill them. I'm like, what? You know, the Roomba, is that what it's called? The Roomba, that little
Roomba
thing that goes around. You don't have to touch it. It just goes from wall to wall, cleans everything up. It's like, you know, eventually that's going to try to kill us.
Gothgeek Gaming says, used to work IT, a hard drive like floppy or zip drives can deteriorate naturally. It's why you would want to regularly move files to new disks.
I mean, these are...
Yeah, I've looked into, fuck it, Hannah mentions Blu-rays on stream, on the bingo card. I've looked into what it would take to digitize my stuff, because as much as I love having all of it, you know, I recognize that stuff can happen. Theoretically, you know, like stuff deteriorates, or an accident could happen and something. So I want to do backups at some point of my discs, and I looked into it, and it's quite expensive, as you would imagine, because of all this storage space, but also, like, every 5 to 10 years, I'd have to copy it onto new storage, just because of how stuff decays over time. So, that's a far-off project for me, like a decade from now, probably. But
these are real conversations I have with people.
I've actually not seen the entirety of Hercules in New York, believe it or not. I've seen part of it, though. It's very bad. And it's very off-putting because they dub over Arnold's speech, so it's clearly not his iconic voice, which is a little funny, but...
And you gotta, I really, you know, I can't. Out of respect for these people, I can't record, I can't do anything, you know, I just have to sit there and tolerate it, you know, and that's all. Especially when you go into the places that I go into. Some of them are just totally lost, but some of them are still there. That guy that I told you about that used to work for NASA, and a very small level, of course. I think he did computations or something like that, or he was working with the rockets. I don't know, but I mean, he's one of the lower parts of NASA. You know,
he's lower, you know, he just works on the rockets or whatever.
He's still there, and he still kind of has his marbles. I had a conversation with him. Unfortunately, they don't let him out anymore, so I don't know. I see him when I walk in. I always say hi, you know, but I don't have time to talk to him. I don't have time to do anything anymore. I mean, this is a total different situation that I'm in right now. Am I happy? Is anybody happy? Really? Think about it.
That's telling. Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card. He's projecting his own depression outward onto everyone else.
There's always something more you can be doing. You know, there's something else you could be doing. But life is so short. But I'm going to take advantage of it. I can guarantee you. But I don't want to get into that. That's another fucking video. I had a lot more things to say. Unfortunately, I kind of went into a little bit of a tangent on real stuff that's going on. Politics. What really happened to Trump? I don't know. All I know is that was completely staged. Okay.
You'd think a broken clock would be right twice a day, but Chris is just consistently wrong about everything. It's almost impressive. You'd set your watch by what he says it isn't.
Whether Trump was aware of it or not, I don't know. All I know is the way things are in politics. What they're afraid of with Trump, I believe, is not the 4 years he's going to be in there, because he's only in there for another 4 years.
I didn't see the Matt Walsh. I know you sent me the Matt Walsh trailer, but I didn't watch it yet because I saw the name of it and the thumbnail, and I immediately rolled my eyes and just could not deal with it in the moment, but I'll watch it later.
Enough time to clean everything up, because all he has to do is just go back to what he did before, and everything was fine. No wars, no high gas prices, nothing. You know, just put everything back.
I'm sorry, you thought we weren't in any wars during that period? What?
Back to normal. But they're worried about
You know why the gas prices were low, Chris? It was the global pandemic and people were at home and not driving as much.
the oncoming years. They think ahead. They're thinking ahead 10 years. They're thinking ahead 20 years. You know, what happens if his son gets into politics? Or any of his other kids get into politics? What happens if they weren't run for president? Oh, yeah, I'm sure they would definitely win. You know?
I don't know about that. Like, Trump has a certain, I'm going to call it anti-charisma, because it's not what you would traditionally consider charismatic. His lack of charisma and his particular style of rhetoric very specifically hits a sweet spot for these, like, MAGA voters, and I just don't think that Trump Jr., God forbid fucking Eric, any of these other Trumps, I don't think that they can carry that audience the same way. I could be wrong, I hope I'm not. We don't know much about Barron, considering he's pretty young, so it's possible he'll be a shitbag, you know, like his dad, and maybe try and take advantage of it someday. Don Jr. will probably at least try, but I don't think that'll go well.
That's what they're worried about, the future. And you have the future of this other disaster that's over there, cackling Kamala, whatever the fuck her name is.
Oh, he's repeating Trumpisms. Great. Kitties are mega cute. How you doing?
That is going to be 3 years or 3 terms of Obama.
Obama on the bingo card! One black president, and these people lost their fucking minds. These goddamn people are just... They're weird. They're weird.
You see how so far everything's going with this term. Just great. Jim Dandy. How much is coffee now? Huh? How much you pay for coffee at Starbucks? What, $15?
I don't go to Starbucks, Chris.
$12? How about a pound of meat?
Chris, do you think the president controls inflation? How do you think this works? Chris, how do you think any of this works? Soma says, I've seen MAGA supporters asked about if they would support Don Jr. or Eric, and to my surprise, they all went hard no. Hey, Ash, how's it going?
How much is that now, huh?
Yeah, problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
That went up about 45%, 50%. My orange juice is $11 per gallon. Okay.
Why don't you take a look at the profit margins of Tropicana or whoever the fuck you're buying from, Chris?
Just pay $3 for that. $3.25 or something. Come on, guys, wake up! You gotta know what the hell is going on, okay?
Joan Corbell says, every Democratic president candidate for the rest of Obama's life is gonna be his puppet to these people, aren't they? Oh yeah, it's like they have PTSD for no reason. It's just their fucking weird bigotry caused them to PTSD over something innocuous. Wild, wild stuff.
Okay? It's all bullshit. All of it. They have to do this stuff. They've got to keep everybody confused and working and sitting in front of the boob tube and thinking that they're enjoying themselves watching a movie while they're wasting their fucking...
Thinking they're enjoying themselves. Chris is so bereft of joy that he thinks if he sees people having a good time, they're lying to themselves. That's an incredibly unhealthy and delusional mindset.
Time, all right? We, if we're watching a movie, are investigating it. We're looking for everything. We're looking for the globes, okay? We're looking for the signs, you know, all the signs, you know.
This is describing a profound paranoid disorder. Like, if you're watching a movie and not, like, just looking for normal symbolism, everyone, well, maybe not everyone, I watch movies and look for, like, intentional or unintentional symbolism that aligns with the themes of the movie. It's a piece of art. That's a great thing to do. It's fun. But if you're looking for little secret symbols that they're sending secret messages to you in a movie, that's a sign of a delusional paranoid disorder, and you should speak to a professional. Unironically, no joke, I'm not saying this is an insult, far from it. I want Chris to get help, because he needs it. 200 bits. Did his wife finally divorce him since he is inside? No, this is his office at work. Weird that I know what his office looks like, huh? I can be like, nope, this is his house, this is his office. Benekagami says, if the Trump children try to take over for their dad like a political dynasty, that'll be even worse for Republicans. His kids are even dumber than Donald. Apparently J.D. Vance being VP was Junior and Eric's idea. Trump wanted an unimpressive middle-of-the-road Republican governor, and allegedly his sons lost their shit. Thanks, Junior and Eric. Appreciate that.
With the hands and everything like that.
That was a real own goal, huh?
Especially these. I see this a lot in movies or in interviews too. The minute I see that, I know that person's sold out. Oh, you're done. Get the fuck off the stage. You're out of here. You know, good luck. Hey, we're gonna have a fun day tomorrow. We're not going to the beach. 2 weeks in a row from that is enough for a while. Actually, the best time to go to the beach is in September. It's clear, it's a lot less humid, and you get some great shots from out there. And once I go through this manual, I know I can get Saturn. I tried to zoom in on it before, but it was all fuzzed up and fucked up. It didn't come out right. But I know you can get it on the camera.
He's trying to view planets through his camera instead of getting a telescope. He refuses to buy a telescope. Instead, he uses a P900 or P1000 Nikon camera, which of course isn't going to give you good images of space, because that's not what it's made to do. He needs to get a telescope, but he refuses.
Curious to find out what the focusing I'm not doing right with is, but I'll figure it out. You know, it just takes a while. You know, it takes a while of fooling around. When you got a family, it's difficult to fuck around with stuff, you know. It really is. You know, find the time and sit down and spend a couple of hours just screwing around with it, you know, and because that's a weekend thing for me. I can't do it during the day. There's no light in the sky during the day. Sun is gone.
Not being able to find 2 hours in your entire week is another good reason I don't want kids, and I'm glad I'm not having kids. Jesus Christ, what a nightmare. You don't have 2 hours your whole week to do a thing you like? Oh my god.
It's gone
Capitalism's brutal enough.
away from us, and that's what the sun does, guys. I don't know about the moon. I haven't been able to get that. I don't think anybody's been able to get that.
No, his kid's young. He has a pretty young kid that's still in, like, school. Like, elementary school, I think.
But we are waiting for the black sun. That's what I'm waiting for.
I don't know the family situation. I was gonna speculate about adoption, but I shouldn't do that. I don't know. I don't know the situation. He's mentioned a kid, and the kid has been heard on camera, and they sound very young. So I don't know the situation, but he has a very young kid.
Which is, apparently, people have seen it. They focused in on it. I've yet to see any videos on it, but people say they've seen it. So that's even more disappointing and bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Because if you've seen it, why haven't you videotaped it? For crying out loud. It's easy to do. Everything's digital now. You press record and you videotape it. And you send the video out. See what happens. YouTube will probably take it down. That black dot, or whatever's projecting the sun, apparently is 3 sun sizes away. So you get the sun here, 1, 2, 3. That's where the black dot is right there. You can't see it because the sun is so fucking bright, it washes it out. But with the right equipment,
I have no idea what he's talking about.
which I looked up, it's about $1,500, $22,000 or something like that. I'm not sure. I think it's a totally separate telescope or something. It's not something that hooks up to the camera. Maybe it does. I don't know. But it's at this point, I can't fool around with something like that right now. I'm going to see if somebody comes out with it. If not, then I'll have to do it for myself. You know, because I'm dying to see that. That puts an end to everything at that point. And all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's Nibiria. Oh yeah, that's the made up bullshit planet. Supposedly that's.
He's trying to reference Nibiru, the 10th planet that conspiracy theorists believe exists sometimes.
Too dark to see. It's floating around. Do you realize if there was?
Yeah, apparently he's more open to getting a telescope now than he used to be.
Really something like that.
Because I know before he had talked about not wanting to because he thought that they'd been tampered with.
And we really
I don't know what changed his mind.
We're in a solar system, and you had an outside planet just Do you know how much that would fuck up the gravitational pull of all the other planets? Do you realize that? Don't you know? What happens when two planets with a gravitational pull are put together? Are they attracted to each other, or
Yes.
do they bounce away from each other like two magnets? I don't know, because none
Gravity is an attractive force.
of it exists. It's all bullshit. You can't prove it. You can't even prove gravity. The most thing is simplest fucking thing they can't prove. They don't even know what the fuck it is. And you think we live on a spinning wet ball. Well, I got news for you. That's bullshit too.
Hey, Speedo Spink.
I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my videos. Let me be a part of your life.
Yeah, so Chris is not doing incredibly well. I'm actually worried for him. I hope he gets better. Because, like, he's a strange guy, but mostly he's a misguided guy who's got a lot of, like, problems, and I hope he's able to get... Let's take a look at the bingo card, if I can get it to work. Keeps glitching. Why don't do that. Alright, let's see. Flat Earth. Spurious symbology is evidence for his, like, hand symbol things. Staggering levels of hypocrisy for some of the stuff he said that was projection. Doesn't understand how cameras work. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. My research said by a non-researcher. Anna mentions Blu-rays. Guy is fake. Clinton's, Biden's, Obama's. PSYOP. Satanic. Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves. The Matrix. Well, no, he didn't say Matrix. He said digital world. I'm kind of arguing with myself from earlier, though. That feels like he means the Matrix. Definitely Planet X Nibiru. Do your own research. No, not 12. I have not mentioned cheese. That's true, Demibird. We'll say racist disbelief of historical achievement. That's fine. What number is that again? Spurious symbology is evidence. There it is. All right. I think that catches us up. Cool beans. All right. Let's see what we're gonna do next. Let me pull up the next thing we'll do. This is the song I'm gonna sing while I find something for you to watch on YouTube. Give this a shot.
Welcome to another edition of the Truth Zone. And now we can expect to see the Northern Lights yet again in places where you're not really supposed to see the Northern Lights. Just like what happened earlier in the year. And they are blaming it on a cannibal CME. There's that cannibal word again. It says, Northern Lights forecast. Expect cannibal CME aura this week, scientists say. So, once again, this is their test run. They are going to continue to do these test runs on these fake Northern Lights. And why is that? Because their end goal is to set the stage for Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam on the bingo card.
And with them running these tests with these northern lights, this is one way for them to run this test, without people really thinking twice. Because most people think that this event is cool. They're like, oh, this is a once in a lifetime event.
It is interesting. It happened in my area the last time this happened. It was kind of cool.
See this when it's happening on more than one occasion, and people still...
Are there any conspiracies about the tornado in Buffalo yesterday? Not that I'm sure they exist, but I didn't come across any today doing my checks.
Aren't questioning what's really going on. Right here it says, latest Northern Lights display could be visible farther south than usual. So...
was this the North Korea guy? Let me look. I don't think he was the North Korea guy. No, this guy just does a bunch of other conspiracy theory stuff.
Again,
I don't
this
know
is
if
just
we've
more
actually covered him on stream before.
of the same from these people. These people are constantly messing with the weather with their technology.
Weather control on the bingo card. Also, fun fact, the Northern Lights aren't weather. That's not what weather is.
They are constantly doing things. They are constantly doing test runs for Project Bluebeam.
Do they think weather means thing that happens in sky? I'm starting to think they think weather is anything that happens in the sky.
In my honest opinion. Again, this is my viewpoint. This is my opinion on
You're
this.
You're right. It was Jake the Asshole is the name of the YouTube channel for the North Korea guy. You're right. He does a lot of sports conspiracy theories now because he thinks sports is all rigged.
Matter, but with the fact that they keep messing with the sky, that should tell you all that you need to know, because Project Bluebeam is going to be a sky event because they are going to stage a fake alien invasion. And it's their way to bring in the new order system. And it's just...
They should bring in Orson Welles. He has experience. Lennon Cat says, for the record, the cannibal part of the cannibal coronal mass ejection is when one coronal mass ejection collides with another coronal mass ejection, and then one essentially consumes the other. I assumed it was something like that.
Wild how so many people are so asleep to what's really going on. They think this is cool. Oh, I get to see the Northern Lights yet again. Oh yeah, let's get some photos of this, guys. And they don't think twice of what's really going on and why we are seeing this happen more frequently in places where you're not supposed to really see the Northern Lights. And their next phase is the alien deception. I mean, they already...
Feels like a bit of a jump, doesn't it? Northern Lights to alien invasion. I feel like you need some intermediary steps.
They talk about the alien stuff constantly, something that was deemed a conspiracy theory. They constantly talk about it over and over again.
Believing aliens have visited Earth or are among us is a conspiracy theory. The belief that there is other life in the universe isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a pretty valid speculation, but it's just the kind of thing we don't have evidence for or against, right? Just statistically, we exist. Probably other stuff exists, if not now, in the past, or maybe in the future under the right conditions. But, whatever. Splitting hairs.
Back in the day, if you talked about aliens, UFOs, and stuff like that, you were looked at like you were from Mars, pun intended.
Yes, if you believe that aliens are visiting Earth, you are a conspiracy theorist. Yep.
Nowadays, you talk about UFOs and stuff like that, it's just, okay, whatever. And
I don't think that's true. People have talked about unidentified flying objects, but that doesn't mean they're talking about extraterrestrial alien intelligence, right? Like, the original, big run on, UFO stuff in the 40s and 50s was due to the United States doing, tests of various experimental aircraft. I imagine things these days are probably similar stuff. We just don't know about it, and won't know about it for decades at minimum, because that's the nature of classified projects.
That's what they want. They want to make this stuff more normal. So when they do it, people really aren't going to think twice about it. Yeah, they're going to band together because that's going to be what brings in this New World Order system. And it's just wild how they continue to mess with the weather. They openly admit to doing this. But then when people like me talk about this stuff and talk about what they are using to create this stuff, we get labeled conspiracy theorists. We get labeled wackadoos, nut jobs, whatever. The list goes on and on and on. When they are openly admitting to doing this stuff.
Admitting. He's saying admitting?
These people are so prideful, it's not funny. And anytime you try to speak truth, you get silenced. You get your views suppressed. You get everything under the sun, or you get your channel removed. Because they don't want the truth out there. They want people to just live in la la land. They want people to just continue to be good little robots in their system. They want people to be good.
Everyone that doesn't agree with me is a robot. Professor Daddy with 25 months says, surprise ads. No thanks.
Little yes.
Thank you for your continued subscription. Much appreciated. And if you want to support the stream, you also can subscribe here on Twitch. You can get a membership on YouTube. You could do super chats, bits, or you could use the tip link to help us get to our 3rd costume month. We're getting closer. We're over halfway there. There, I did my calls to action. Do I get a cookie?
In their system and put things in them when they say so and follow the rest of the people. Follow the herd. This is what
sheeple on the bingo card
they want. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to break free from their system. They don't want
you to know that the communist menace is stealing our precious American bodily fluids.
Awake. And this is the whole purpose of my channel and other channels like mine. Like even Wake Up Call, his channel.
Never heard of him.
And other channels like mine. We are doing our part.
That's Call for an Uprising's channel currently, for those that don't know.
And this
he's had to channel hop several times since we've last discussed him.
Fight.
For obvious reasons.
To bring the truth to you to the best of our abilities. Past all of the censorship. Past all of the lies. Because these people are messing with the weather. Make no mistake about it. These people are messing with your food. These people are messing with a lot of different things, and they don't care. They think that they are the superior ones, the elite, the ones that are above us. But guess what? They are not above us. In fact, they are losers. And they are going to lose.
I'm not owned. I'm not owned. Please don't tell anyone I was owned.
In the end. But again, it's just up to people like me to resist, say no, and fight back to the best of our abilities. Because
are you going to fight the Aurora Borealis? I'd pay to see that. I guess that's basically just the climax to Ang Lee's Hulk movie, isn't it? I did pay to see that. No, I didn't. My parents did. I was probably 10 when that came out.
If not me, if not Wake Up Call, if not Donut Factory and others like that, then who will? We are getting censored constantly on platforms because that's what they want. They want to censor the truth. They do not want the truth out there. And any way that they can censor people from speaking out against what's really going on, they will. They will either just ban your channel, they will shadow ban you, or they will suppress your views.
Okay, I'm done with this. There's nothing I find more annoying than when conspiracy videos just break down into them complaining about their channels getting deleted. Just annoying. We get it. Shut up. Okay, let's see what we have from that one. We, of course, have Project Bluebeam, wherever that is. I believe Sci-Fi Tech actually exists. Project Bluebeam. People. I think that's it. I think Weather control. Alright, now I think that's it. See what we're gonna do next. Alright. Try this one.
Our intelligence.
Has that Hulk movie aged better, or is it still as lame as I remember as a kid? I'd have to watch it again. It's been at least a decade since I've seen Ang Lee's Hulk. I genuinely don't know. I remember liking Eric Bana fine as Bruce Banner, but like, again, I haven't seen it. I know that it has all those really out there comic book transitions, and I would have to watch it again to know if I like it or hate it. Yells at clouds. I don't think so. He was yelling at the Aurora Borealis. Like, okay, not modern ones. I don't even know what she's referencing there. The climate was very different back then, yes, but I think she's going a little far. And climate has changed over time. The position of Antarctica has changed over time. You literally said that. It was part of Pangea. It wasn't on the same, like, longitude and latitude of the Earth.
Climate scientists heard 14.
Did we have AI? Didn't notice any of the images that were AI. Although, maybe they were.
Million years ago, and built up even more ice.
Hold off on the AI, because I'm not sure.
Beyond the dry valleys, Antarctica is now the coldest, most desolate.
Does New World Order count as Illuminati Freemason? Yeah, because I would put that under Cabal.
Place.
Oh, is this a climate change denialist? Does she not... The climate can change sans human activity. It's that the climate change we are experiencing currently at an unprecedented rate is due to human causes. It doesn't mean that's the only thing that can ever change the climate. It's that, in particular, human activity is changing the climate at a pace never before seen. Nothing can adapt to it because it's too quick. Spiraled quickly. She went from talking about climate change to aliens, and we're already on, like, wars of the aliens. This really declined.
Going back at least
Domino's or DiGiorno? This is definitely a real story that definitely happened. She got a call, and it was the government! Oh, how did you know all our secrets? And that's why she's alive today, giving speeches at crackpot conventions.
and that subject was cloning technology used.
Clones on the bingo card. During a Neil Breen film. Isn't that illegal?
Advanced technologies operated by advanced beings based on Earth in Antarctica and around the globe.
Why do aliens never have visible genitals? Because they're classy!
Could
Nasty-ass humans just flopping all over the place.
deliberately have
God, the AI really didn't know what to do with that breathing apparatus, did it? It just stuck a tube in his mouth like he's intubated, like in a hospital. They put the thing down. This is my least favorite part of flying, is when they shove the big tube down your throat.
people have not even imagined on the continent of Antarctica.
Just sucks on it like a pacifier. I like that we've already just determined that these discs are aliens, whatever. Artemis says a cleanse for later. Later is now. Let's do this cleanse before we move on.
Weird story of Donald Trump and his one-sided view. Let it never be said that Lil Donnie isn't a supremely weird weirdo. Having never been taught right from wrong, Lil Donnie is prone to lying constantly and for no apparent reason at all. Way back in 1995, after many failed attempts, Donnie was able to wrangle his way into 50% ownership of the famed Empire State Building. But Lil Donnie was angry he couldn't have the whole thing. So being the naughty little kid he was, Donnie lied. He told anyone who would listen that he actually owned the entire building. He made the mistake of repeating this lie to British journalist Selina Scott, who quickly corrected him, as a journalist is meant to do. "No, I own the whole thing," he repeated. When shown documentation that he did not, he changed his tune. "I own 80%, but we've worked out my purchase of the rest." Selina had verified that wasn't the case and corrected him again. And he finally admitted to owning only 50%.
Who the fuck even cares? What a weird thing to care about. You're upset you own half of the one of the most famous buildings in the world? What are you fucking talking about? Deranged.
But for Lil Donnie, the truth was an insult. A normal little boy might go home and think about lying and learn not to do it again. Donnie, however, took a different route. Instead, he sent her random articles with offensive, angry letters attached. He did this for the next 2 decades. He called her very sleazy, unattractive, obnoxious, and boring. One of his letters read, "Selina, you have little talent, and from what
He really does melt down like a toddler. Isn't it surreal?
I have seen even fewer viewers. You are no longer hot. Let's take a step back and look at Lil Donnie's actions. He lied about a very easy-to-verify lie. He was called out in a very light fact check. And then, for 20 years, he obsessed over this one woman and writes her inane letters. Lil Donnie is a fucking weirdo, and that's all there is to it.
Very weird. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do next. Oh boy, this guy has a weird vibe. No one has said chemtrails yet, no?
Yorker put out a post about the new generation of airships and air travel, and another article on why airships may be the future of travel. Oh, you didn't know? This is old world technology, and look at this ship. My boy True Earthers Unite just did a video on this, talking about how these floating cities could hold 1,100 people. That's the population of Wayne City. And I like the headline of his page. It says, "Free travel anywhere." Now, the travel itself isn't just free. The energy
This seems speculative, sir. Why are you reading this as if it's a thing?
is. Look at the headline of this old article, "Strange Lifting Force." A lot of people are mystified of how these giant structures stayed in the air with entire cities built on the inside of them.
They're not entire cities, they're an airship, and they're filled with a gas, either helium or hydrogen, that's lighter than air. That's it.
You ever heard of the band Led Zeppelin? Yeah, well, this is a Zeppelin, and it's made of steel. So how does it float? Well, you see it's tethering to these Tesla coil-looking structures. It's also
Those don't look anything like Tesla coils. What do you think a Tesla coil looks like? Oh my goodness. That's literally just an anchor point. For those that don't know, when dirigibles were a thing, I mean, I guess they still have a few left, but when these were more of a thing, some buildings had, like, places to anchor the ship so people could disembark, like from the top of the building.
also a docking port where people dock onto it.
It was only a docking port. It was a docking port. That was the entire purpose of it. Trey says, screaming in engineering knowledge.
Well, what is this strange lifting force that keeps these things afloat?
Buoyancy. Buoyancy. It's not a strange force. What are you talking about? Why am I getting so many goddamn spam calls? What is going on?
Let me take you to a patent that's very popular here on this channel, the triangular spacecraft. And taking a quick look at the abstract, this little deal here flies using vertical electrostatic line charges that create a horizontal plane wave, basically creating a portable Van de Graaff generator and counteracting the weight of the object to fly.
Yeah, that's not how anything works.
Wait, why would...
A Van de Graaff generator, for those that don't know what a Van de Graaff generator is, if you've ever been in a science class or a science museum where it's basically a generator that creates electricity via static electricity and you stick your hands on it and your hair stands up, that's a Van de Graaff generator. He's literally just saying that you could use one of those to fly. You cannot. That's not how anything works. Word salad on the bingo card.
NASA have this technology? They do! In fact, NASA has an electrostatic levitation laboratory.
They do, but these things are very specific. So electrostatic levitation is a thing where under strong enough electromagnetic currents you can cause things to levitate, but it's not practical outside of the lab. If you've ever seen video of, like, the frogs floating around in a little chamber, that's from these experiments. It works on a small scale, and it takes an insane amount of energy. It would not be practical for any use that isn't just a laboratory experiment.
Your real question should be, wait a minute, how is this...
And it wouldn't work on something... Like, if you wanted to lift something this big with electromagnetism, it would take probably more power than the entire Earth generates in a year. So yeah, not something that would make sense.
Anti-gravity craft, not somehow using the Einsteinian bending and warping of space-time theory of gravity in order to levitate. How come an anti-gravity craft uses electrostatics to...
It doesn't. That's not real. Does he think this is real? This isn't a real thing.
levitate? Because these crafts harness the electrostatic potential in the atmosphere to achieve lift and propulsion. So why have they been covering this up and acting like it's some brand new technology?
You don't even understand the technology they're describing.
All of a sudden. Because it's a big problem for this. Also, if...
Screaming at the radio says, actually, Hannah, it's not practical on Earth, but the reason NASA has a lab is that it is surprisingly somewhat practical on the moon because there's a surface charge there. Oh, weird.
Us peasants get the idea of free energy. What kind of catastrophe
There's no such thing as free energy.
is next? Fruit
Like, literally, physics does not allow it.
trees on every corner? Which, by the way, they say the reason we don't have more fruit trees in public is because, oh, well, the fruit trees just need too much tending to. No, they only need tending to if you want your apples to look like this. You know, I'd take this organic apple that tastes much better. Yeah, it rots quicker, but
You know that trees need to be, like, tended to, right? Like, even like a wild apple tree, if you want it to survive, is going to require maintenance and maybe pruning, and it takes a long time for fruit trees to grow. The initial period when they're not bearing fruit is a time when you need to, like, keep an eye on them and make sure that they're not getting fucked with, make sure they have ample water. Like, no, sir.
I'd rather have it over this GMO wax
Pests, yeah.
apple. And I called BS on the public fruit thing because you ever been to like a tropic place? You ever left the United States and went to like Costa Rica or places where they have wild fruit trees everywhere? And
Also, tree roots can wreck things. True, we have a lot of underground infrastructure in the United States. Lots of underground wires and concrete and stuff, so that could fuck some stuff up.
you just... One more shout out to my boy Phoenix for sending me this article. It's time that we uncover the old world and bring back old technologies. Quit trying to act like they're brand new.
Oh, that guy's really, really foolish. He's so confident and so wrong, it's frustrating. Daniel Pratt been up to? He seems agitated about the Kamala situation. Trump is still losing his mind over Biden withdrawing. What did he say now? Let's see. What are the chances that crooked Joe Hold on. Gillis Filler, thanks for 15 months, says confidently incorrect. The worst kind of incorrect. What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen from him by Kamala, Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer and others on the lunatic left, crashes the Democratic National Convention and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate. He feels that he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup to the people in the world he most hates, and he wants it back now! Yeah, he's not doing good. He's not doing good, is he? Holy shit. Oh. Anyway, speaking of people being upset about the Kamala situation, here's Daniel Pratt.
Morning or afternoon, folks. Just checking in. I guess just my thoughts on what I've been seeing going on recently. The agenda's unfolding, and it's hard to tell what's going where. So, on the political front, that clown show.
Oh, he's gonna be incredibly sexist, by the way, at minimum. So, just letting you know. That was a great Trump. Thank you.
Apparently, supposedly, it looks like they have cemented old Camel Toe Harris.
Get it? Because she is a vagina. Ha 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 ha.
Into the Democratic, they've given her she's gotten enough delegate votes for the Democratic nomination, which...
He's so sad.
Again, just leads me to believe, for whatever reason, and I think I know
he is married. He's married.
The reason. I've explained it many times.
They are not beating the weird allegations. They are not. They're very weird.
Present the false light as your saviors. They want Trump to win. I cannot think of any other reason why they would put that clown bitch out there.
Bitch, because again, she's a woman. Ha 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 ha. That's justifiable, right? Casually calling someone a bitch because you don't like them. Great.
She is a joke. She is an insult. It's not even funny. It is an insult to every adult of voting age in this country to put that bitch up there as...
Sir, first of all, again, gross, weird energy coming from you. Secondly, you're a flat earther. What are you talking about, jokes?
A potential presidential candidate. It is an insult to your intelligence, if you haven't figured that out yet. Many may say the same about Donald Trump, and I'd find it hard to disagree at this point, because I know what he really is, but...
Oh, good. He's not into Trump as much now. That's good.
His fanboys and his base just think he's literally the second coming, many of them. And he was saved by God. And okay. Still haven't seen that missing chunk of his ear. But I digress. Now we got the stock market crashing. Usually they wait for October for that one. I guess maybe the one in 2008 with Bush. It started crashing around this time, I think, maybe. They've been talking about how the stock market or the housing market's primed to pull a repeat of 2008. Heard nothing about, but oh, the economy's great. What recession? What inflation? What this? What? And now, oh God, here it comes. Excuse me. So if it's been as bad as anyone that actually goes to the grocery store know it's been, and they're saying it's about to be a recession, how bad is it going to be?
Benigami says, as someone who works in lawn and tree and shrub care and had to get Department of Agriculture certification, I can give you a laundry list of reasons why organic food is rarer, more expensive, and not viable for feeding the mass population we have on this planet. Pesticides have their problems, but we do use them for good reasons, folks. Oh yeah, I'm very in favor of GMO and stuff. I'm in favor of GMOs and pesticides and shit. I get it. I get giant corporations aren't your friends, but like, Do people understand the logistics involved with feeding 8 billion people? A lot. A lot. You can't just grow fruit in your backyard. I mean, you can, but it's not going to feed everyone on the planet.
That on top of, we also have the immigration riots after some children were attacked and killed, I guess, in Britain, England, United Kingdom, whatever you want to call it. They're righteously indignant there and lashing out accordingly.
Corbell says not by immigrants, FYI. Yeah, the fucking nationalist, racist piece of shits.
That last video I didn't get many views, and I get it, but
he does seem sad.
If you think that was about the war in Ukraine, it has nothing to do with it. I mean, that was part of it, but it's about them funding literal Nazis, as I've talked about many times. All my audience are aware of this, in Ukraine, while constantly demonizing the right-wing Christian Republican voters of America as racist Nazi extremists. Well, in that confession video, which is what it was, for those that didn't bother to watch it, the point of that video was the guy repeatedly refers to all the plans they have to attack government institutions, power stations, and other things. That confession video was in 2017. So,
what is he talking about?
Go ahead and think back to all of the attacks on power stations, food processing plants, railroads, and other things we've had go on in the last 7 years since 2017. Kind of makes you wonder. So, that coupled with, again, what's going on in Britain, England, and that now. How long until one of these immigrants...
Wow, that was that sounded like an immigrants with a hard R. Jesus Christ, the way it's like he wanted to say a different word. Oh my goodness, this guy's not okay. Holy shit. Nerdy says, I wasn't going to do bits, but this pissed me off enough I have to say something. It's got fuck all to do with immigration. The riot started thanks to a combo of right-wing, quote, journalists, Twitter trolls, and a ringleader who fled the country the day before he was due in court. Yep.
Attacks a school, or whatever they need to get the reaction they need to cause an uprising, to cancel.
I gotta be done with this guy. He's just pissing me off. He's being more of a chud than a conspiracy theorist, so the line is blurred these days. He's using conspiracy theories, but he feels like a chud. So I'm gonna move on. Oh boy. Check this one out.
Winning is tough.
Well as his personal help to Arian subscribe.
Great stuff. The world. It's in the blood. Would you like to have...
Oh, I did want to actually play some of this because I never noticed Donald Trump does talk about genetics a weird amount in a yikesy way. Unfortunately, this conspiracy theorist takes it as like a ancient bloodlines thing, which it's not, but it is weird. It's weird. Listen to this shit. This is weird.
Is tough. I always said winning is somewhat maybe innate. Maybe it's just something you have. You know, you have the winning gene. My father is German, right? Was German. My uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT. Good genes, very good genes, okay? One of the smartest people in the history of MIT, in my blood. If you believe in genes, some do, some don't. Believe me, if it's good.
What does he mean, believe in genes?
Genes, we believe in genes, right? We're allowed to say. A lot of it's about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe?
It feels very dog whistly, the way he's using it. It feels very eugenicsy.
Do we believe in the gene thing? I mean, I do, right? You know, I do. When you have 111 wins, that's in your blood, right? It's got to be in the blood. It's good genes. You have good genes. Good genes. You believe in genes? It's got good genes. These are great women, great men. Frankly, great genes. You have great genes. You have very good genes. Just remember the president. You have great genes. Those genes. Those two young men have the greatest genes anyone's ever had. The best genes I've ever seen. A man named Henry Ford. Good bloodlines. Good bloodlines.
Henry Ford was a literal Nazi sympathizer that helped publish the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a fucking hoax that is a tenet of anti-Semitic literature to this fucking day? Thinly veiled anti-Semitism on the bingo card.
You believe?
And by the way, I see he's at a Ford plant talking. Maybe still don't fucking say that shit. Holy shit! Benekagami says, considering Germany lost 2 whole world wars, I wouldn't brag about German in you making you a winner, Donnie boy. Yeah, Henry Ford was a goddamn eugenicist.
Even that stuff, you got good blood. We have good stuff. We have great genes in this room. We have smart people. A man with really fantastic genes. Gotta have like the best genes in the world.
Okay, so this goes on for a while. I'm gonna skip to, when he's done talking about the genes.
There's no question.
A
Great stuff.
Donald Trump is of Rh negative blood type.
Okay, now we're on the conspiracy theorist.
A self-proclaimed Christian, he's also an initiate that, like the Freemasons and Rosicrucians, subscribe to a lineage based on the heritage of the Knights Templar, who claim descent from High Temple priests of Jerusalem, whose ancestors fled into Europe after the destruction of the temple, and introduced Kabbalah into European secret societies, which for a time was regarded as alchemy. This ancient Aryan bloodline goes back to the Magi of Mesopotamia and
oh boy!
priests of ancient Egypt, who according to German textbooks up until 1945 were regarded as the true...
Oh boy, what happened in 1945? Boy, why were those textbooks prior to 1945 talking about Aryan origins of Germans? What happened in 1945 to change that? He's literally citing Nazi propaganda as if it's accurate historical recollection. He's citing Nazi propaganda as if it's factual.
Origins of the Nordic people.
I would recommend, by the way, if you want to hear more about how anthropologists and historians, the ones that went along with things for the Nazis, most did not, of course, so good job on that. But the ones that did, Anton Shea Films has a pretty good video about this, about how Germany used a mythology to create their own bullshit fake history to justify their Aryan view bullshit, So check it out.
During the Holocene, who eventually migrated north into Europe and Scandinavia.
This should also help to explain why Trump uses the lion symbol, as I've already explained about his ancestry, Germanic bloodline, and occult significance he incorporates into his architecture,
as well as his personal allegiance to an ancient Kabbalistic network that is misunderstood by many and completely unknown to most.
I'm gonna say, that's overt, right? He's just saying it. He's saying Kabbalah, but we know what he means. Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. So, I'm gonna say we have thinly veiled and overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card. Benekagami says, well, I mean, his favorite president's favorite author is Adolf Hitler, so are we really surprised?
It goes back to Babylon in the 6th century BC. The development of a
banking system
tradition that merged the worship of underworld gods with the Babylon history of magic and astrology. And
Brain Injured Gamer says, I just remembered where this comes from. There was a book called Who's Who Among the Jews, a collection of family trees that supposedly showed just how much Jewish blood was in the bloodlines of wealthy and powerful Europeans. Trump's dad and grandfather likely owned a copy. Yikerinos!
And so this is basically what came to be, in the Jewish tradition, came to be known as Kabbalah. Basically, it's a hierarchy of Judaism. And so it's, the early practitioners would present themselves to the world as merely being an interpretation of Judaism, basically as a way of disguising their apostasy from Judaism. And what it's based on is the idea that Solomon had learned magic somehow from, basically some kind of discarded entities, demonic entities of some sort.
I mean, he's supposed to have used summoning demons and, binding them to build his temple, so...
And that he used that power to build, first of all, that he had a sigil, or, the Star of David, or the Star of Solomon, was a 6-pointed star, which he used as a seal on a ring, apparently, to control these demons. And then he used his control over these demons to build the temple of Solomon. So there is a legitimate Orthodox tradition in Judaism that looks forward to the rebuilding of the temple as, part of fulfillment of Bible prophecy with the return of the Messiah.
Stone Corbell says, what do you want to bet conspiracy theorists will start associating Kamala with Kabbalah, even though they're not actually pronounced the same? I hadn't considered that until this moment, but I could see it.
There's a parallel.
They do like their sound-alike words, or look-alike, or bad etymologies.
Tradition, occult Kabbalistic tradition, that also aspires to rebuilding of the third temple.
No, I thought they were demons, not golems. Golems are a thing in Jewish mythology, but I'm pretty sure Solomon conjured and bound demons to his service.
Their Messiah is the Antichrist. So that's why when you look at a group like the Knights Templar, for example, who are founded again on the idea of this reconstruction of the temple, their place in history was appropriated by the Freemasons, who continued this concept of rebuilding of the temple. So they're called Masons, or bricklayers, because supposedly they are laying the bricks for the foundations of effectively a new world order, which is to be governed by the expected Messiah.
That is not the reason that Freemasons are Freemasons.
When the lost tribes get scattered, they get scattered to the land of the Medes and all the way into Central Asia, and that's where supposedly they intermarry with the Scythians. They eventually migrate to Europe, where they become Scandinavians and Scots. Scandinavians, descendants of Odin, and the Vikings and the Scots, particularly Isle Orkney, which is where the Sinclairs come from. And
you think Odin's real?
And that's where you get this heritage of Scottish Rite Freemasonry.
Over the music.
Esoteric beliefs. The Templars held esoteric beliefs that they descended from the temple priests of Jerusalem, and their ancestors entered Europe as waves of lost tribes.
What Trump was thinking about for this photo op was just like, what a wall. What a nice wall. I'd wail at this wall.
Sacking of the temple for which they are named after. Rex Deus, which means God Kings in Latin, are a group of European aristocratic families that claim ancestry from the bloodlines of the priests of Jerusalem.
The Rex Deus are a bloodline that trace their origins back to the 24 high priests of the Temple of Jerusalem, which includes the family of Jesus. And according to Holy
Lenin Cat says, in ancient Hebrew mythology, demons in this time were not considered to be inherently evil, especially in Kabbalah. They were sort of like jinn in Arabic mythology.
Of the church, Jesus was single and had no children. But like all Jews of his time, he was obliged by Jewish custom and tradition to marry and procreate, because he was also a rabbi and the heir to the throne of the line of David, so he had to produce an heir.
Wrong. He was not to produce an heir because he is the heir. He was begotten of the Father to inherit all things forever. He is the heir.
Funny to me when people argue about mythology. It's like people having, like, headcanon arguments. Phyllis Filler says, Trump is thinking, I wish we had one of these back home, and we're not gonna close, we're not that close to the sea. Why is it called the Wailing Wall?
You do err, my good sir.
One of the most closely guarded secrets in European history is the fact that he founded a bloodline known as the Desposini, which are still extant in Europe today. And descendants of Jesus are all
This guy
around.
is also a conspiracy theorist, to be clear. This is conspiracy theorists basically arguing with each other.
Many of the people who are true descendants of Jesus of Nazareth,
yes, Despacito,
don't even know it.
Now you gotta remember, this is what they believe, and what they've convinced generation after generation of as being true. They believe themselves to be the heirs of this world. They've convinced generation after generation that this is in fact true, that they are God's heirs to the throne. So it's important that you just keep in mind
who does he
that
think believes this? This is not a widespread belief by any stretch of the imagination.
Trump, that's what the agenda is.
Why can't you just dislike Trump like a normal person and not make it a weird anti-Semitism thing? Okay, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick.
Hi, I'm Bob Larson.
Shut up, Bob. While I'm gone, consider adding to the tip counter for the next, costume month. Be right back. Chair, tell him all about what Bob's gonna tell him about. Be right back. I've come back. Okie dokie, let's see what Bob is up to, shall we? This video is entitled, What You Don't Know About Sex and Demons.
Millions around the world know me as the real exorcist. I've battled demons for 5 decades. I'm going to share with you what I've learned about how demons and the devil seek to kill, steal, and destroy. A heads up on upcoming appearances, seminars, and other opportunities of encounters in various cities. Go to boblarson.org for the details. I'm going to be in Nashville, Fort Lauderdale, Dallas, and Phoenix this fall. And as always, like and share so that other people can know what's going on. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are aware of the next important thing that we'll be doing. And as always, remember, we depend on you for your financial support. There's a couple of ways that you can give. One of those is to go to boblarson.org.
Chilling on the bingo card.
And for your play in. I'm going to give you specific warnings about the about sex and what you don't know about sex and demons could ruin your life. I'm going to give you specific warnings about the role that soul ties play in demonic possession. I will also explain biblical boundaries regarding sexual behavior and detail specific practices which can open the door to demons.
Bob, get out of my fucking sex life. It's none of your goddamn business.
I approach this topic.
What's up with these people in trying to tell people how to fuck? What goddamn weirdos.
Concerning sex and demons.
Every time they call to action, what if I did? It would be incredibly annoying because we watch so many channels that I'd be doing like 14 calls to action per stream, and that would be ridiculous. I already feel bad enough doing it. Unfortunately, it's effective, so I guess marketers were right.
With a lot of hesitation. Let's face it, it's a touchy subject, and I run the risk of being misunderstood. One thing I want to emphasize, it's so important to know that whatever your past, Jesus Christ can forgive. Jesus can heal it. The power of prayer through deliverance can set you free from...
Ooh, talk about the boning.
Or saved, as well as offenses you may have committed. Hope for any and all sexual sins you may have committed to be healed and forgiven, whether or not you were even aware of the consequences of your behavior. I also want to emphasize, this topic is not something that younger children should be listening to.
Should children ever be watching your show? About exorcising demons? Okay.
I'm speaking out because this subject of sex, particularly sex and demons, has long been taboo in the church. What I'm about to discuss is controversial. Avoiding demons which enter through sexual activity. And a little later, I'm going to present to you a hierarchy of the ways that demons use sex to torment and possess individuals.
Yeah, tell me about the ways demons torment people through sex. I will hate that. That's horrifying. I definitely am not specifically into that.
You might assume the practices such as sadomasochism, incest, even bestiality.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. One of these things is not like the other. Can you figure it out by the time I finish this song?
Would qualify as open doors for demons.
I have to pay $50 for the ad-free Bob Larson Plus to hear about the boning. Everyone give me $50 so I can hear about the boning.
Yes, you're right. These sins I've just named are principal ways that allow demons to enter through conjugal activities forbidden in Scripture. However, this matter of sex and demons is a lot more complex. Before we get too deep into this, let's talk about the biblical boundaries of sex. Biblically forbidden sexual sin is a moral transgression. Most of you know that. But it gets more complicated when you add to this subjects such as soul ties, which we're going to talk about, and the deep emotional bonds that are formed through sex. These complications take illicit sex to another level. Before I get into the specifics concerning all the ways that demons can enter through sexuality, you need to know the guidelines for this discussion. First, I approach this topic from a biblical standpoint. That the Word of God says what it means and means what it says. The framework of what we're going to discuss is based on a biblical model. Scripturally permitted sexual activity, including coitus, must be between married individuals. And these persons must be a biological man and a biological woman as stated in Scripture. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image.
I don't think it says biological in there. I think you maybe added that. Transphobia to the bingo card.
In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Now, I'm not going to directly deal with other ideas about sexual connection. That's a discussion for another time. I'm just simply stating...
Stone Corbell says, I missed where the Bible says biological and defines that term. The Bible's super great at biology, too. Remember when they said that in order to get striped sheep, you had to have them mate in front of striped plants? The Bible's so good at science!
What has been the historic position of the church for 2,000 years, and for the Jewish community since the law of Moses.
No, I'm pretty sure it was sheep and goats. Because it was a herding thing. It was a person working as an indentured servant, as a shepherd.
But here's what I do want...
Cows don't need shepherds. Sheep do.
...to do. I want to explain to you what happens when the proper structure for sexual expression is violated and the doors to demons are open. I suppose it's obvious that sins of adultery and fornication could invite demonic activity. But many people don't even know how to...
The story of Jacob cheating, was it Laban? Name sounds a little off.
These terms.
I believe you.
So let's do it. Adultery, a sexual relationship outside the marriage covenant. Fornication is any kind of sexual activity that's biblically forbidden. Prostitution, sleeping around, and various perverted paraphilia. All adultery is fornication, but not all fornication is adultery. More specifically, adultery involves voluntary...
Yeah, you're right, because Jacob wanted to marry, there were the two daughters, Rebecca and the other one, and then they did the whole, like, dueling vaginas thing, where they wanted to have his kids, and then one of them traded mandrakes with the other in order to sleep with, yeah, it was Leah and the other one I just said.
Sexual intercourse between a married person and someone who is not their spouse, married or unmarried. America's original jurisprudence system considered adultery to be a legal offense and had, in some cases, criminal penalties.
Yeah, I'm glad that's not a thing. That's weird.
We've come a long way, baby, haven't we? Fornication refers to voluntary sexual
goldfish. How you doing?
Intercourse between two people who are not married to each other. And this can include premarital sex or extramarital sex when...
Leah and Rachel, thank you.
Neither party is married. Historically, however, fornication was generally not a legal offense in most countries. In addition to this hierarchy that I'm going to present later, there's a broad range of ways in which modern sexual activity is engaged in by individuals. These include homosexuality, incest, open marriages, polyamory, bigamy, polygamy. That's just naming a few of them. The sexual buffet of erotic options is
The sexual buffet of erotic options! All right, then.
Relatively new development in human civilization. People have always sinned sexually, and in most cases, even in ancient Greece and Rome, there was a moral plumb line regarding what one should and should not do. Today's sexual libertines campaign for no rules.
Consenting adults. Benikagami says, hey Bob, question, was it a man or a woman biblically? Like, where is that defined in the Bible? Or what's a man's garment and a woman's garment? What's the biblical age of consent? What's biblical consent? You know, since the Bible is the only real source of knowledge and it is supposedly a source of all morals.
Modern dictum is freedom to do whatever one wants to do with whomever, whatever, whenever, however.
Mint Knight says, I've met Bob and he's so much more evil than I think we understand watching his videos. Did you just get a vibe or was there something specific?
They want to enjoy the pleasure of sex.
He was talking about polyamory, yes. He listed a bunch of things that he deems immoral and opens you up to demons in relationships, and one of them, he said, was polyamory.
Stimulation without being constrained by any prohibitions. It's their thing. They want to do it their way. Freedom of expression, liberation, etc. Unfortunately, there's very little discussion of the consequences of such Dionysian behavior.
Dionysian behavior.
And
we did it.
No mention of the role that demons may play in sexuality. The key to understanding the role of demons in sex is understanding the importance of soul ties. So first, definitions. What's a soul tie? Well, let's establish that every act of sex, from foreplay to intercourse, forms what's known in deliverance circles as a soul tie.
What?
A spiritual soul tie is a deep emotional...
This is just the religious version of those red pill dudes that think women carry around the cum of every dude they've ever fucked. Don't get me wrong. Sex can be a very intimate experience, and different people have different feelings on it, and different people get different levels of attachment to partners when they have sexual intercourse. But it's not like a metaphysical soul thing. It's an emotional... whatever. Bittergrin says, wait, he claims the Greeks understood morals the way he does, then why then calls bad things Dionysian? He is inconsistent. He's been a grifter for decades.
Psychological, often spiritual bond between two people. It occurs when two individuals connect on a profound level. This often leads to an ongoing relationship, especially when it is sexual. Consider these factors.
That's not how women work on bingo? Yes.
Some of which may be present in any
Dionysian
soul tie relationship. Number one, emotional connection. Individuals involved feel deeply connected to each other's emotions and experiences, and no experience is emotionally deeper than sex. Number two, the spiritual dimension. In the world of the New Age and the occult, some believe that soul ties have a spiritual element, like the so-called twin flame.
Let's get to the demons.
Ungodly soul tie has been... Think and reflect on the mistakes you made to get into that.
Ashford, thanks for a 7-stream streak, says, excuse me, sir, I've been on the internet for a while. There very much are people thinking about opening themselves up to demons sexually. Very much. True.
That situation, so it doesn't happen again. Don't just pray to cancel the soul tie, that's good, but also understand what it's done to affect you negatively. Sexual sins leading to soul ties often have an exponentially negative spiritual aftermath. Get some good deliverance ministry.
Oh, that post-nut clarity hit him hard, huh?
We can help you with that. Get some counseling. To walk through a process you cannot be objective about on your own. Here's some other thoughts about cutting off those soul ties. Sever all contact with the other individual. This may seem obvious, but in many cases that I deal with...
Get to it. Sexual activity involving demons.
So what do you do about sexual activity involving demons that's affected your life? I want to arrange for you in descending order of relative seriousness the potential evil consequences of sexual behavior.
Oh, okay.
Marriage, legally and spiritually recognized, is God's only provision for full sexual expression. Here in a general sense, though, are the 10 most egregious sexual deviations in descending order of spiritual consequences.
Gonna list the most dangerous sexual deviations. Number 1. Number 10. Anal. You're on Watch Mojo Crackpot Edition.
This is a kind of hit list in the realm of demonic assignments, the most serious at the top. First.
Oh yeah, let's do it. What about Bob with 39 months? Appropriate name for right now.
Non-consensual marital rape.
Oh, well that one is bad. Jesus Christ.
I have that at the top because the marriage bond of sexual trust is divinely sacred.
I find that interesting because biblically, I don't think that holds up. The Bible doesn't say anything about that and considers, like, women to be property. So yes, saying rape is bad, good. But I find it a little weird that compared to his idea that every bit of morality comes from the Bible, because the Bible doesn't say that. Lennon Cat says, can I not marry a demon and have perfectly moral sex within my demonic marriage? Yes.
2, adultery in marriage. This destroys
Hydrate.
the human relationship that God has created on earth. Number 3, non-consensual rape.
He put cheating over that? Oh, maybe we shouldn't be ranking these things, Bob. What are we doing? Oh, boy. Woo! Dillis Filler says, my demonic marriage coming this fall to TLC.
Usually involves violence, deception, potential for physical
It is
harm.
redundant.
Number 4, statutory rape of a minor.
Why is he ranking the different kinds of rape? He could have put these all under one and just put it at the top.
That takes advantage of a child's innocence. Number 5, incest. From my experience in deliverance, incest demons are some of the strongest demons to dislodge. Number 6.
Holy shit, that's good advice. Incest demons, they really get in there. They really get in there.
6, molestation.
What? How is that?
That destroys the sense of trust and safety and makes the victim believe that the entire world is dangerous. Number 7, fornication. It's exploitive, it's selfish, it's manipulative. Number 8, prostitution. It degrades both the participant and the procurer. Both are sinning. Number 9, sexual trafficking. That enlarges the scale of exploitation beyond just individuals in illicit sex. And finally, number 10, pornography and sexting. These are current cultural gateways to many other sexual sins. This list is neither exacting, it's not morally quantifiable, it's simply
You literally said it was in, you could have said in no particular order. You're the one that said it was from, like, worst to least bad. No one else made you do that.
Do you have a sense of what sexual sins?
Yeah, the order of this list is fucking bizarre.
Satan is looking to foment. The more serious the sin, the more serious its consequences and possible demonic influence.
Jesus Christ, he sucks. Menikagami with 100 bits says, good for you, Bob. Yes, rape is dangerous, but if this list isn't including stuff like scat, breath play, blood play, or a few other out there kinks and paraphernalias, you're missing out. BDSM and anal are far from the most dangerous stuff out there. Stuff you see. That was a lot. Jesus. I just thought we'd get to laugh about anal.
I have a few final thoughts on this issue of sexuality, the one flesh relationship, biblical guidelines to sex, and soul ties. If I could go back over the tens of thousands of cases that I have dealt with, there are many stories I could tell you, but there's...
The butt is the gateway to hell. AC/DC's Highway to Hell starts playing in the background.
One that sticks out in my mind as it applies to this topic. I was ministering to a husband and wife in an encounter session, face-to-face in person. The husband was a pastor. The wife had wanted to...
Okay, I'm getting off this video. Fuck Bob. I'm gonna find something funny. Now this is just gross. Benekagami says, bits for getting through my earlier message. Thank you, I appreciate it. There's a Tartaria person. Low stakes.
So today I'm at lock 38, and this lock is functional to an extent, not actually used as the canal, but they will fill this up and demonstrate how the canal...
We never have a wholesome stream. It might be nice to do a wholesome stream one of these days, just as like a cleanse. All nice things. Lennon Cat says, if God is so demanding of monogamy, then why did David, God's favorite person, have 8 wives, Bob?
Will fill with water. Although
generally the answer to that they would say, well, after the crucifixion, there was a new covenant. That's usually the go-to answer for stuff like that. I'm not saying that's a good justification. I'm just saying that's probably the answer they would give you.
It is not operational. It's not working. But I'm going to show you guys how cool this canal is and the construction, amazing construction of it. And this one still has the doors and the equipment on it. And this is the Gleason's house, which was out here on the Erie Canal, and basically a rest stop. And the family's name is Gleason, and related to the Gleason's map.
Yeah, I think he thinks the locks are old world Artarian stuff.
Yeah, so here it shows the Gleason family ran a tavern store for people on the canal.
Why's he gotta be weird about this? Historical museums are so interesting. Like, even little ones like this can be really interesting and fun. Why you gotta make it a conspiracy? Just enjoy the museum.
So yeah, the canal was used for trade, and places like this would
I love this shit. Give me a little informative plaque. I'll read that shit.
pop up for places to, like she said, like a rest stop, while they're figuring out what was left over from the old world, how to repopulate and bring in the new system. The more anti-God system. So this is just showing the layout of the canals here. And that's the Cleveland one. And the narrative that they tell us is that they were building these as they were building more capitalism in the world, but in reality they just found it and took it over. This canal was already here.
Incorrect. They had to build it. It's a canal.
And this one I'm at is actually semi-operational. So here is a level, because it was all about finding level ground and bringing these boats up to sea level, above sea level. But it's all about finding the level ground. Straight line.
Level in terms of elevation, not in terms of curvature. I feel like he's going to get onto a flat earth tangent, so I'm going to stop right there. Level in the surveying sense, we are talking about elevation, not curvature. These are two different measurements. Screaming at the Radio says, that's one of the frustrating things about conspiracy theorists. The world and science are amazing and magic and fun as they are. Why do they need to make it this weird delusion out of touch idiocy? Often because they have beliefs that don't mesh with reality, so instead of changing their beliefs, they change their view of reality.
Just a flat canal.
By the way, this Sunday we're going to be doing a patron-only live stream, so if you want to join that patron-only live stream, and check out all the previous VODs of the former live streams. Make sure you join the Patreon at patreon.com/HannahReloaded. Any paid amount gets you access.
So here they staged these pictures to make it look like they were actually doing this.
So here's actual photographic evidence of them digging the canal, and he just says, well, that's staged. That's his entire rebuttal.
When in fact, they just found it.
He's literally in a building full of evidence that disproves him, and he's using it to try and prove himself right. I feel like there's a metaphor in there about something. Not sure what, though.
And they control this whole thing is to control the narrative of saying these people found this and responsible for the project of surveying, funding, engineering, and construction. Although, it says right over here, there were no engineer schools at the time. It was learned by doing on the nation's first canals. Yeah, they just kind of figured out how to make that. Just trial and error. That's not leftover technology from the old world or things like that. Just
surveying techniques. This is surveying equipment. This isn't the canal digging. This is the surveying equipment, and that stuff already existed. Oh no.
They just figured it out. Let's just figure it out as we go, guys. So this is talking about the year 1776 that Thomas Jefferson...
Never heard of it. Amber Pretzel says, this is why Chris and other flurfs irritate me. They want to suck the wonder and fun out of all the cool science stuff in the world, like space is crazy fascinating. We're still trying to understand some of the weird stuff we found, and that's before we even get into trying to explore the ocean, the human genome, everything research goes into. These guys hate the fact that science exists, and yet without it, they wouldn't be able to deny it to begin with. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a weird phenomena. I'll put it that way.
quote-unquote fake character declared that...
Oh, and Harold Elbelman with a 40-bit message says, again, this makes no sense where I live. Louisiana was massively eroded by the canal projects of the 19th and 20th centuries. The old maps show it. New Orleans is like 27, 57, I forget, miles closer to the Gulf than it used to be when the U.S. bought it. This has had massive consequences in terms of hurricane storm surge because of the lost land was bayou.
Independence from Britain would enhance every American's chance to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
I don't think we have misunderstanding of the scientific method on the bingo card.
50 years later, lack of good transportation, they say. So that's why everybody was excited about them putting in the canal to keep the commerce going. But it wasn't really putting in the canal, it was figuring out how to reuse it.
If he repeats it enough, it'll become true.
Whatever flood came through.
That's how that works, right? Joan Corbell says, civilization has to start somewhere. Say their theory was correct. Even if all the buildings and tech were made by an unknown ancient civilization, they would have had to figure it out at some point. Yeah, they don't really go into that. It's less about what this actual ancient hypothetical civilization was about. It's more about discrediting modern society. It's not so much about, ooh, let's learn about this ancient people. It's about saying, there's something wrong with our current society, and I don't believe our society is everything that it's said to be. So I'm going to come up with, there's got to be something out there, and then they come across this conspiracy, and it feels right to them because it tells them everyone's lying to them. It's hidden in plain sight. We can't really accomplish the things we think we can accomplish, because if we could, why isn't the world perfect and egalitarian? Why isn't everyone doing fine? The whole thing.
And then this is just talking about how the current residents that already lived here in America, left over from the old world or the Indian heritage, and then how they were pushed aside for a certain, and it was all
That
fueled
was a weird edit.
by controlling people's emotions, built by people who inherited the promise of the American Revolution. So, right there in plain sight, telling you that this was inherited, which means it was already here.
It's saying that they inherited America, and that this museum clearly has a theme about capitalism and its growth in the United States through the industrial period. So they're talking about that and trying to connect that to the founding fathers' message of, like, pursuit of happiness and stuff like that. It's a little propaganda-y, to be honest, but, like, clearly there's the thematic through line that was put together in the narrative of this museum, and you're completely misreading it. Screaming at the Radio says, there's plenty they can find to denigrate in our society that's also real. Why don't they do that? It's not enough. It's not enough.
It's all about a progress of promise. That builds people's spirits up to want to basically work for scant pay. But it's for the greater good. We're just taking over this old world technology and repurposing. And then, of course, they're gonna put this kind of propaganda. We can't leave space, fake space, out of the narrative. Gosh, canals really changed things. This one's actually pretty cool. It is maybe one of the only honest displays. It shows what a canal boat would equal 2 semi-trucks at 55 miles per hour. So one canal boat is like 2 semi-trucks. 192 canal boats is a freight train. So that's cool. It's just giving you like actual scale and weight of what the canal boats weighed. And I can't dispute that one. It's probably true. Canals connect wider worlds.
Nice, Stephen B. Glad that it got your spirits up. Stephen B said, Hannah, tuning in after the Kamala rally in Philly. After you get off stream, you have to watch it. It's beautiful hopium. Hell yeah.
It's pretty much just saying flat earth right in your face. And then, of course, they would put out these things to just get people's drama up like they do.
Surely the water in this canal must be the most fertilizing of all foods.
Oh my. This exhibit was put in like 2007. Look at that monitor.
These towns with their masses of brick and stone, their churches and theaters, their businesses and hubbub, their luxury and refinement.
The bezels.
And cheap internal communication from New Orleans to the Hudson.
I am convinced that the unborn millions of our posterity will derive their most fervent gratitude to the founders of the Union for the first national. To what single individual has it ever proved an injury? The powers of the general government in relation to this will be settled and acknowledged to the common satisfaction of all.
They talk a lot about forced labor and earlier in the video, talking about how there were no engineer schools. It was just learn as you go. A lot of the narrative of the whole world and how things were built was that they used forced labor, prisoners, people with no experience in engineering or construction that would be able to do such a feat.
People doing manual labor aren't necessarily the people doing the engineering work. Like, even on a modern work site, the guy drawing up the plans isn't the guy who's digging the thing. Oh my God.
With just because it's like, just because you throw 1,000 people out there to work on something, if they don't know what they're doing, just kind of quick view out the window of this lock, which I'm going to go out and get, but just to kind of like show you what I mean. You're not just going to have forced labor, learn as you go. do something to that scale. So here is...
Hold on, I just got sent this clip and it looks funny. So, brief... brief aside.
And I gotta tell
Tim Waltz on JD Vance.
And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
He's gonna play well in the Midwest. Yeah, he's got Midwest dad energy.
Is this canal, Block 38, on the Erie Canal. And that would fill up with water. And it's really cool that this one has water running through it, so the other ones are dry, completely dried up that I've shot. But just the construction of this to be done by the narrative doesn't fit.
I want him to get into this mule thing.
Canals. So one of the narratives that they use for these canals and how they operated was they say that they would use mules to pull the boats along the canal. And
Humble Homestead says, oh, Midwest Santa's gonna run circles around the weird guy. True!
I personally don't feel that that's accurate. I think that these canals have their own current. Like I was just filming, you know, the canal has its own current. Water is its own... It's hard to find words what water is to me, but it is not lifeless. Water has memory, water has...
Oh no. Yeah, the homeopathy stuff.
Thought. It knows what it's doing. It has its own propulsion. It's just built into the earth that way. The earth was designed by God for our rivers to flow without the use of up or down. It's just
Rivers flow because of gravity. That's why rivers flow from high elevation to low, because they're following... What?
Flat earth. And the rivers are propelled. Pushed somehow.
It's going downhill, sir. It certainly is.
So this mule pulling the boats on the canal narrative is to hide that fact that there's like a free energy to water that was utilized in the old world. So they enter in that we used mules instead of just God's natural free energy running rivers.
It's dihydrogen monoxide. Jay's a proxy. You got it flipped.
So it's all about controlling narrative and with these canals, these blocks, and just really making sure the narrative is correct to keep people directed away from figuring out that this is a flat earth functioning system.
Royal Ann with a $2 super chat says, mule uphill.
Remember, always follow your gut. It's always telling you the truth.
That's really bad advice. No, your intuitive, emotional, reactions to things are not inherently truthful. You need to check things. You need to think about them. You need to try and falsify them.
A narrative is put in place to control your perception of our past. Just guard the gates of your mind. What you think about, you bring about. If you're not controlling your mind, something is and will for you. God bless you guys.
Oh, poor guy. This uses AI on the bingo card for sure. A flat earther made this video. It's called Fake and Gay. They used AI for the images as well as the song.
Just hopelessly stuck, just hopelessly stuck on being fake and gay. So fake and gay, forever fake and gay. So fake and gay. Yeah, they're just hopelessly stuck on being fake and gay. Yeah, forever fake and gay. Yeah, so fake and gay.
Well, that's something. I hadn't heard that specific story, Generty, but I'd heard about things like it, I think. This will probably be the last thing we do for the day, because this is also going to be a big AI video. This is basically someone telling their conspiracy theory through AI video.
Eisenhower's goal, along with the Joint Chiefs, was not to immediately engage in a conflict. They were hoping nothing would happen. Their immediate task was to collect any and all information of what they found. When they arrived, they saw a huge hole going inside the side of the Dulce Mountain.
That Bronson Cave?
Next to it, they found a giant cross-rail tunneling machine, along with several boring machines and large construction equipment. Clearly, someone intended to construct something very large, but there was no one on site. All this equipment was sitting outside this hole on the side of the mountain, with no workers. The generals told the men to proceed inside the hole. Maybe more information was inside, but they told the men to be gun-ready, but to not immediately engage in anything. They slowly walked into the dark cave with no lights.
Oh,
only the
God, the video. Ugh. Stop it.
Flashlights on their helmets. The cave went in very deep and just kept going. There was no end, and no one was
That's
on
a mine.
Sight. The men relayed on their radio to the team leader and colonel that the cave just keeps going. There is little oxygen, extremely hot, and no lights with no sign of life. The colonel sent more men inside and told them to keep going. Then out of nowhere they saw it. An army of small humanoid creatures with large heads, large eyes, and small mouths. Some of them were wearing some type of armor, while some weren't wearing anything. The men stopped and looked at them. The creatures walked up and watched them as well. The creatures walked up, holding a sort of weapon. The men radioed their team leads outside the mysterious cave, but with no answer. The radio was dead and could not make contact. The men pointed their weapons and slowly started walking back as more and more of these creatures started showing up. It became a huge army of them. One of the men screamed, "They were waiting for us. It must have been a setup." Another man started screaming, "Wait, no, no!" All of a sudden, these creatures started firing their weapons with...
Wait, why are the aliens talking? Why did he have a scene there where the aliens said that?
laser-like bullets that zapped and cut through the American infantrymen. The men began...
There it is, that's what laser guns look like. They still have like a barrel, like a normal gun. Like it still has what looks like a rifled barrel, but it's lasers. That makes sense.
firing back with everything they could.
There you go. Those are good guns. No recoil. Wow.
Throwing their grenades.
That's incredible.
Firing at will. But it did very little. These creatures seemed well equipped and prepared. As more infantrymen ran up and fired, most of them were falling left and right. These creatures seemed to be easily taking out the army. The generals outside heard the sounds of battle and sent the remaining men inside. But as more men went in, more men were running out, screaming retreat.
The original Star Wars didn't have CGI. It used a lot of matting techniques, but I don't think it used CGI. It was all practical from ILM. Gitara says, the longer the AI animations play out, the more nonsensical they become. A lot of time they just evolve into mush until it starts straight up ripping scenes from shows, movies. Yeah, in the industry they call it hallucinating. It's just bad. It's just bad. I don't know if they'll ever fix it, but like, Is it even good enough to care to fix? It's kinda slop. It's nonsensical fucking slop.
With wounded and badly injured men. The battle was lost. The remaining men said, "Don't go. We were battling non-human entities."
Oh, there's another one where the soldier just has like a thing in his mouth. Are you my mummy?
With very little sight and no location of where they even came from. As many were running out, the battle of remaining men continued as they were being slaughtered. The battle was over. All remaining men were out, if not, left for dead. They felt they underestimated what they would find. They called President Eisenhower to relay the operation and explained how they witnessed
There he is! Uncanny Eisenhower.
something entirely otherworldly. Losing hundreds of
Like
men
that some of the images are black and white and some aren't, just arbitrarily.
to non-human.
Why is this gray alien fucking ripped? And why does his pelvis look like that? Is that his genitalia? Ugh.
Human entities with no sign of MJ-12 or any other military or human beings.
That's a xenomorph head. That's a xenomorph head. You should be crediting H.R. Giger for this. Be getting residuals.
It was as if some intel was leaked to these creatures because it seemed they were waiting for them. Eisenhower asked, "What else did you find? Any information that can help us find these rogue generals?" The colonel
It's funny to me that I'm so big into movies that whenever I'm watching AI stuff, I can usually pick up what it's pulling from because my visual vocabulary of film is like pretty intense. So I can always be like, oh yeah, that's from this movie, that's from this TV show, that's from this thing. I recognize where they're pulling this from.
said nothing. All we see is large swaths of construction equipment.
Again, I'm pretty sure this is just fucking Bronson Cave, which has been used in 10 million movies, which is probably why when they typed in cave, it came up with this, because this cave has been in 10 million fucking movies. Fen Kagami says, isn't it great that a big part of the stock market crash is over AI? I wonder how much longer it'll be before investors come to the conclusion AI is largely poison as an investment. Kind of seems like investors are fucking idiots that fall for anything Silicon Valley sticks in front of their faces, like jingly keys. Well, it's just frustrating. Frustrating.
And tunnel boring machines, but no signs of human life. Only these
It's a tunnel boring machine that somehow drills in square shapes.
non-human entities we encountered inside this cave. They took out hundreds of our men in minutes. They said, "We are on our way back to you, Mr. President, and will explain everything." They apologized for the failed mission and learned little to nothing.
What is that uniform? Look at that! Oh, I feel like I'm watching a new Star Trek series where you see they just changed the uniforms and they're ugly as fuck now, and you're like, okay, I gotta get used to this. 12ply, thanks for 3 months, says, I watch on 2 services on 2 devices because I must always have at least 2 entertainments.
To the meeting, Eisenhower realized he may have overreacted. He sat in the Oval Office, trying to figure out who or what he is at war with. He thought about MJ-12, who may have not only been in communication with alien or non-human entities, but have also made deals with private corporations, private bankers, and even other governments behind his back. This is when Eisenhower coined the term the military-industrial complex and the explosion of increased funding to the defense industries, outside the control of elected officials. While Eisenhower sat in his office, he received a call that said, "Someone important is here to speak with you."
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. Blah, blah, blah. That shot is almost identical to the I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. Hold on. I guess it's slightly different. It's a little reversed. I'm gonna say no to the hats off just because we're almost done for the day. so I don't want you to waste the points when we're only going to be going for another few minutes.
Then valiant Thor walked right into the Oval Office. Eisenhower got up and walked up to Thor and asked, "Do you know what we just witnessed?" Thor responded he was not sure what he was talking about. Eisenhower said his men discovered two possible...
Oh God, why is he black and white in a color White House, and why does he look like that?
...locations on the whereabouts of MJ-12. He said he sent his men to one of these locations, where they discovered non-human entities that easily took out a battalion of his men. He said since then, he was no closer to discovering their whereabouts, or the alien life they may be working with. He asked Thor if he knew anything about this, and why he did not warn him. Thor said whether I knew or not isn't important because your mind was already made up. He then told Eisenhower, as he looked deep into his eyes and said, "Now are you ready for your real mission?" In our next video, we will be discussing the continued divide and secret war inside America's military-industrial complex. With one side fighting for America's Constitution and Bill of Rights, and the other seeking to destroy it to further their own selfish interests. Siding with private industries, globalist think tanks, political lobbyists, organized crime, secret societies, and even extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional life. Some say with their goal to create an Illuminati one-world government, a fascist government with the help of artificial intelligence tech.
Does he know there's actual, like, movies of 1984 he could pull clips from? He doesn't have to make slop.
Technology that can dictate global policy with no say from the population. While on the other side, fighting against these agendas is what we know today in conspiracy circles as the White Hats, which is another secret society created by President Eisenhower and before with Admiral Byrd, which is a consortium of...
Admiral Byrd is the one they think saw the ice wall, flat Earth, so they're also including flat Earth into this.
Naval intelligence, various aspects of the military that don't take orders from MJ-12, and spies inside the military-industrial complex, all working to bring down the power of the shadow government and to destroy their goal of creating an Illuminati New World Order.
Can't believe anyone believes this crap. Chitara says, also, why are all the aliens always butt naked? Are clothes just something civilizations shed when they advance enough? If so, that means maid outfits would become the thing of the past if modern tech bros' recklessly accelerationist visions become reality. As a faithful priest of the Temple of Paul, I feel as though that is some sort of heresy. You would get to see my boobs, though. So, bonus. Alright, I think we're done for the day. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow for another fun stream. Like I said, we're doing a patron-only live show this Sunday, so make sure if you'd like to join that, you join the Patreon as a paid member. There's links for that. We're still making our way towards the 3rd costume month, so if anyone wants to donate to that, if they're watching the VOD, feel free to do so. It does still tabulate even when we're not live. It tabulates as long as you use the hannahreloaded.com/tip link. Someone did throw me a tip in between the last stream and this one, and it did count. So thank you. All right, let's see who we're going to raid, and then we will call it a night, because I would like to make some dinner. About what time Sunday? I'm thinking... probably around 5. I think we'll do a normal stream earlier in the day, and then after that stream, we'll do a patron stream around 5. So we'll do an earlier stream for everyone else, and then Patreon. We'll raid VC Archives.
I'm gonna kill God.
Always love VC Archives. Watching something with Heath Ledger. Interesting. All right. Have a great night, everyone. And I will see you soon. Love you, Mr. Blast. Bye, everyone.